This is Real Estate Legends, and I'm Greg Viti. This is Matthew. This is Harrison. These two started this fantastic company called Triton Realty. We're in their brand new office at 5301 North Damon, and it's still a work in progress, but you can see how beautiful it looks. And I can tell you firsthand that they are taking in some of the best talent in multifamily and mixed-use buildings in the city. I can say that because I worked at Jameson Realty, at Jameson Commercial for a long time. So they've got Luke, they've got Clark, and they've got Alex. And these are three very smart, aggressive people. And I know everybody that works here are very much committed to a great goal of really helping your clients, but more than that, helping themselves too. They've all bought buildings. They have real life experience. And at a young age, they've achieved a lot in my, I believe they've achieved a lot. So Matthew, where'd you grow up originally?
I grew up in Skokie, Illinois, not too far from here.
Niles North?
Niles West.
Niles West, okay.
Yep, old Niles West guy. Born and raised there. My dad went to the same grade school I went to, Fairview, right behind the old Jack's restaurant off 2
Oh, sure. What kind of work did he do?
My dad's an attorney.
Okay. What kind of law?
He does a lot of litigation. He does real estate, some family law.
So you knew you didn't want to get into law, huh?
I knew I didn't want to get into law.
But you were willing to be partners with a lawyer. I like that. So then, out of Skokie, like you're in high school, what are your interests? Like, what did you do? Did you play sports?
I did. My whole life was basketball.
No shit. Me too.
Like, I'm talking 5 a.m., practice before school, go to school, practice during lunch, go after lunch, go to actual practice for the basketball team I played on, and then after practice I'd go to Lifetime and play more.
How about the Skokie Boys Athletic Association at Niles North? Did you ever play in that?
I did not.
I was the one Gentile in that league my 7th grade year, and they gave me it was on April Fool's, they gave me the MVP award, and I thought they were bullshitting me. But they didn't give it to me because we lost the game. So after high school, you went to college.
Went to Illinois State.
Did you play intramurals there?
I did. I actually won an intramural championship there. I actually had some D3 offers, one D2, but it was small schools, and I decided not to pursue that. I wanted to go, my whole life had been basketball. I wanted to go have fun and do
So what did you study at Illinois State?
Finance.
Fantastic.
Finance major.
So that really goes hand in hand with the type of real estate that these gentlemen do. It's very math orientated and numbers. There's a lot of other things to it, but I know that background has really got to help you. So when was it that you decided, or what was your first job coming out of college?
So actually that brings us to Harrison over here. I met Harry in college. We actually met within the first 2 weeks of starting, rushed and joined the same fraternity. And him and I actually took a job our sophomore year doing apartment leasing.
Okay, good. So you got your feet wet.
We got our feet wet.
It was called Stepping Stone.
Stepping Stone.
Pun intended.
Interestingly enough, the person that owned Stepping Stone is actually the owner of the Scion Group, who's a massive student housing company.
Mm-hmm.
Actually one of the biggest in the whole world.
Yeah.
And they're located in Chicago.
Fantastic.
So, I'll never forget, Harry, you remember when Rob Bronstein drove down in his
Blue Mercedes.
Blue Mercedes.
Vanity plate. BLU away. Blew you away.
We got lucky a little in the beginning because all they knew is that they'd pay 1 month rent, because that's what we do, up here. You pay 1 month rent. So when he came in and asked us what we wanted to get paid, he's like, before we could even say anything, we're just hearing this guy talk. He's like, how about 1 month rent? We're like, sure, that'd be great. And of course, with my math mind, I'm calculating. We had about 600 beds, and I think it was about 250, 300 units.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah, that could add up.
Yeah, and we were in charge of all of it.
We had 2 stars.
We're gonna have a keg party soon.
Oh man, boy, we were making. I I think we were making close to 40 grand a year working part-time each.
Wow.
And
So-
we lived rent free.
And we lived rent-free too.
When we started, we had 2 StarTech phones they gave us and an old lead list. Like, these are the good leads, right? The Glengarry runs. We start calling them in the basement of this apartment. Oh, these numbers are dead. They had found these people that already rented their apartments 2 years ago.
We did get a hold of a few. They're like, I rented my apartment like 8 or 9 months ago. So we're like, oh, okay, well.
So but that's what they call learning.
Yes.
That's how you experience something. You can't teach somebody. You gotta experience that. So then you get some, knock in the head. You probably rented a couple places to people you shouldn't have, and that really opens your eyes, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you've done that. You've met Harrison. Now, how do you decide you're going to get into real estate, and where did you first interview, and where did you go?
So that experience was really eye-opening, because it basically gave us the inside look as to how investment real estate operates.
Right.
And by the way, on that point I made earlier, eventually they caught on that they don't pay 1 month rent. So like we were still making good dough, but there was a brief period where we were making a lot more.
Right.
That kind of came down.
They pulled in the reins a little.
They actually brought in a head property manager from another company. He's like, "What are you paying these guys?" And we were like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" Like,
This is the going rate.
Yeah, we want to get rich.
but needless to say, we did. It was about a 50% vacant portfolio. Within the first year, we brought it to 98% occupancy.
Wow.
So we turned that whole place around. Came up with some good marketing ideas. We remember that one day we had this big. We went to the whole Greek network, all the frats and sororities, and offered a really big discount if they signed on one particular day. And I remember that day. We got there early. We had probably 200 people in line.
It was like Great America.
It was like signing leases left and right. I mean, Harry and I were just like, cha-ching, cha-ching, and
So wait, so you're in college at this time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys got licenses to do this, obviously.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be licensed. We worked for the company.
Okay, you work for the
Yeah,
company.
so-
So did they give you like a few hours of, hey guys,
No.
here's what you should do. Here's
No
what the lease
guidance,
is.
no guidance at all.
We had no clue what we were doing.
Sometimes that's the best. Just push them in
Yeah.
the lake.
Our boss was all the way in Chicago. He'd take the train down sometimes on the weekends, and we would hang out, grill out with them. It's like, wow, what are you guys doing here? Well, I'm seeing all these leases come in. The owners are so happy. And then we'd have a couple beers and we're like, we're just doing what we do. We're becoming friends with people.
It was us two, and then our Amanda. Our
the
secretary.
local
And that was
secretary.
Perfect.
Yeah, we were like, it was pretty
This was
random.
what, 2005 to 6?
This was 06 we
Yeah,
got the
06.
job, and then we worked there for through the rest of college.
Well,
actually.
I love fun real estate stories. I've got a million of them, and that's a fabulous one. And that you guys both met each other at college. It kind of reminds me of Tommy Choi and Josh Weinberg, guys in my office. They've been inseparable, good friends since college.
Josh is my daughter's football coach.
And I didn't know
Flag
that.
football. Yeah, great guy.
So, it's a very small, that's the thing about real estate. The longer you're in it, how small it all becomes, and you get feelings about different people and different companies. And one of the things I love about your company is this positive vibe that you guys have. I mean, obviously you've pulled off a couple sales recently that are very impressive. Probably we don't want to give the inside scoop of how you did it and everything else, but I do want to get to the point where you kind of explain to the listening audience some of your methodologies and mindsets that you've instilled in these people, because obviously you guys are all crushing it, and it's very exciting to see.
Yeah, I mean, right after college, I started at Marcus & Millichap, July 6, 2009. Tough.
Cold calling a lot, 50-50, here we go.
Thrown right into the wolves. And, it was painful for, the beginning years because...
Oh, yeah. We're going to give you the same list that we've had 25 people
Yeah.
call on, and let's see what you can get there.
Oh, yeah, right in the bullpen,
Well, what year is it too, Matt? Because that's a
2009.
Was Moyer gone by then?
Moyer was, Moyer had left at that point.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I believe he might have been there for a little bit, but it was around that time he had left.
Because I went to interview with him, but I was older at that point, and I said to him, Greg, when I started out in real estate, if you'd have come to me and said, do this, I would have done it, because we were cold calling until 10 o'clock at night every night, you know,
Sure.
when I first started.
Sure.
But at this point in my life, I don't want that feel. Like, I love to call people, and I really enjoy this whole thing, but when you're forced to do it, and it's just a cold call,
Yeah.
I like a business development call. I like when someone has a real need.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are this way, and you fit that need. Or you listen closer and you realize, oh, this is what they need. I mean, I read some of your testimonials, and I love the one from Mitch, where he says, I had no time in 30 buildings, and I had to have guys who could analyze it. And you guys have the skills and wherewithal to really take care of someone like that. And there's very few people in Chicagoland that really can do that. And you guys are at a great age, and it's impressive that you can do it.
Thank you, Greg.
So, with you, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Buffalo Grove, so my folks are still in Buffalo Grove, and I went to Buffalo Grove High School.
Okay, so that's Highland Park West.
Yeah, you know, to each his own.
Right, I mean, I'm from Highland Park, and I noticed that
We weren't as
half of
nice
my
as
friends
fancy,
moved
yeah.
to Buffalo Grove as they got older.
So growing up, it was nice because I had all the same friends since I was in literally preschool, where I went to the JCC. One of my best friends growing up, we were born on the same date, same hospital, almost same time.
Wow.
And then years later, my mom and Mike Rosenberg's, my buddy's name, his mom became really good friends. They're still really good friends.
How
So
fun is that? You know, that's one of the things I love about, at least what I know about from the North Shore. Like, I put on a golf outing every year. I get 36 people. I get a different group.
Nice.
Some of them are always there. But some of these people I've known since third, fourth, fifth grade, you know.
It's cool.
And so my wife laughs at me. She goes, I don't talk to anyone from high school. You talk to like 150 people, but it sounds like you guys do the same.
Yeah.
And that's a great solid base. So were you an athlete when you were a kid? Or?
played soccer, I wrestled, and then as I got older, I wanted to have a car. So part of me getting a car meant having to get a job to pay my grandma, my Bobby, the bank, part of that.
So what'd you do?
So I went to work at Jewel, and I bagged groceries,
Okay.
picked up carts in the middle of it, and worked my way up there for 2 years outside of when I played soccer to pay my Bubby, who's my bank. And I got a car.
Fantastic. What'd you get?
I got a bright yellow Nissan Sentra,
Okay.
mustard yellow.
It probably lasted a long time. Or
Well, yeah, that's
had a lot of
another
dents
story.
on it, huh?
It lasted a long time till in my later years, I still had it, and it broke down in the middle of a cornfield next to a prison. True story. Then that gets me to the lawyer side at some point, but I had to go to a lot of prisons when I was an attorney.
Oh, great.
And so I've seen almost every prison in our entire state. And that time, it broke down in the middle of a field in Stickney, Illinois, home of the White Squirrels. And I'm in a full suit, and my car's dead. And I called Brittany, my assistant. I said, Brittany, my car's dead. If something happens to me, I'm in Stickney, Illinois, in the middle of a cornfield. And I walk, and I see a farmer in true farmer wear, overalls, working on a thing. And I said, hey, my car's dead. I'm an attorney. He's like, oh, yeah, I got a guy that'll tow you. And I was like, well, can I use your phone? My phone is, I don't know what's going on. So they told me they had to work on my car. They couldn't replace it. So from that moment on, I've leased all of my cars ever since.
Wait. This is becoming a Hallmark movie. And then you had to go to the little diner, and you met the little cute girl
I
that you dated.
I ate at a Subway there.
Okay,
It was terrible.
It didn't come out to be a Hallmark movie. Okay, so.
No, it wasn't Hallmark. I'm trying to make it Hallmark.
So I do think it's interesting that you both were very much into athletics, because I don't know if you remember Chuck Goro. He was one of my favorite managers. He managed Koenig & Stray, and we would talk about sales, and he'd always say, first off, the athletes are the best. They get knocked down, they get back up. You're a wrestler.
Yeah.
You hit the normal person in the face hard, they're down. You hit a wrestler as hard as you can in the face, you've just pissed him off, and now you are going to get mauled. And I feel like
right.
in real estate, it's kind of the same thing. Like I go for things that are needles in a haystack, and when I finally get one, and then it's, it doesn't work. But the excitement and the adrenaline for
your
it.
expectations, managing your expectations. I think even with Matt, getting up at 5 in the morning, it teaches you structure. It teaches you aren't always going to get the trophy, but if you keep shooting those free throws, you're going to get better. So,
Yep, you're gonna make them.
so, I wasn't tall enough for basketball. I was the manager in 7th grade, so that says about it. I was a heck of a manager. But for me, finding my way into college was always a necessity. I was very fortunate. My dad's an attorney. So growing up, a lot of kids don't know what they want to do. For me, I never even thought about what I wanted to do because I always was going to be a lawyer.
You could tell by the way your dad looked at you. You might as well just say yes, huh? It was like when I wanted to be a Cub fan, and they said, "Well, where would you eat?"
Yeah.
Same kind of thing.
I mean, my old man's the kind of guy when I was like 5 that would say act like a man, that type of thing.
Right.
So I've always had to be very, very, there was no excuses. Like there was always, you've got to do what you got to do. And with that said, even when I was in middle school, I always wanted to be a lawyer. My 7th grade yearbook literally says from Mrs. Noonan, "Congrats, future lawyer. Be careful with your arguments. Sometimes people bite back." Mrs. Noonan. And so I get to college, right? Fast forward, my whole mindset, I'm always gonna be a lawyer. So traditional route, you do a history major, you do English, something that involves reading and writing. So I meet Matt, we hit it off, we become really good buddies through us working. And in the back of my mind the whole time, I'm just thinking my next step is gonna go to law school, which I do.
Where'd you go?
I went to the Harvard of the Midwest, Southern Illinois University.
Oh, where the smoke is so thick you can cut it with a knife.
Well, I was one of the only guys. I was one of the only guys from Chicago down there. So, and you go drive around, you go to a gas station, get gas, and there's like pamphlets. Chicago should secede from Illinois. So it was a different type of vibe. A lot of people from St. Louis, still have some really good friends. And the reason I went there is because the cost was a lot cheaper than if I would have went. I think I got into Paul or Marshall too. But for me, all my friends were starting in their world in the city. So I didn't want to have distractions. And I figured I'm going to keep
Smart.
it cheap. I'm going to treat this like a job. And I'm going to graduate. But when I graduated, problem was I couldn't get a job.
Your old man would hire you?
Well, my dad and me, Greg, are like
Yeah, that's why I didn't go to work for my father.
So-
I love the guy, but
I love my dad with all my heart, but at the same time, I also know my dad and I know me, and that would be a recipe for a tough time for me. So what I did is I found out a friend of mine in high school, her uncle was the Michael Jordan of what I thought I wanted to do. And I called up my friend and I said, "Hey, I know this is crazy, but your uncle, I've been researching like who these people are and what I want to do, and he's an amazing guy. Can I meet him?" She said, "No, it's funny, Harrison. It's actually his wife's 60th birthday surprise. You should come." I said, "That's a great idea. I'm coming." So I go and I meet her uncle, great man. And it's not the right setting for me to try to pitch myself, which I understand. But I said, "Hey, Uncle, so-and-so, just remember I'm graduating next year. Would love to meet with you." So I graduate. I get published in, at the time, was one of the leading plaintiff lawyer magazines called the Illinois Trial Lawyers Journal. And I brought that
how'd you get that?
because I spent about a year researching and writing to be published in this journal, and I got accepted into it. And then when I got
That's what I
accepted
like
into
to
it,
hear.
I took it with me because I knew that could be something important to this guy.
Of course.
That I'm not just some kid that graduated, I actually
Right.
have some type of basis. So he meets with me and he gives me an hour of his time. And not only that, he says, "Harrison, not everybody gets to where they are today without the help of other people. I'd be happy to help you." Gives me a list of 60 people. And I handwrite all these letters. Nobody will hire me because I don't have experience. How do you get experience when no one will hire you unless you have experience? So I end up moving then all the way down to Springfield, Illinois to go work for the Attorney General. And at that time, you could get really good litigation experience. And I tried federal court. I was in federal court all the time, and I went to every prison. And that's where my yellow Nissan Sentra blew up in the middle of a cornfield.
So you would end up. Who are you representing?
I'm representing the state officials on behalf of the Illinois Attorney General. That would be someone that's the warden of the prison. That would be somebody that's giving medical care inside the prison. It's all related to people that are getting sued that are on an employee pension type setup.
And so you're having to really research this, analyze it, figure out the right
Well,
questions to
you would
ask.
think, Craig.
I
But it's
mean,
not-
these are the same kind of things that I
You would
think
think.
Triton Realty today
You would
is
think.
doing exactly with your client base and
Well, this goes back to my dad. When I was a kid, he always said to me, Harrison, you know how to be the best lawyer? I'd say, how do you do it, Dad? He said 3 things: preparation, preparation, preparation.
yeah,
And I
three
said,
Ps.
that's a lot. How do I do it? So you experience, and you just, anything that we do in terms of our company, we really take it to heart, because anything we do, we put our name on it. And that's something that was instilled, I think, in Matt as well, since we were young kids. And it really is important to us that when we do something, we do it the right way.
Well, and it seems too like you're doing your hiring and the people you're taking, you're really vetted, and it seems like you're really putting the right groups together. And,
It's awesome because as we've grown, we've been able to be very selective. I mean, I'm sure at some point Matt could share how the company got started and the thought process of why we were going to start it. I mean, for me, in the world of like the chapters and how I got to where I'm at, picture me now. I'm a lawyer. I'm in Springfield. I'm working hard, but my whole life and my whole family and all my friends are in Chicago. Now I've got the experience. So what do? I get the experience. I reach out to all those uncle letters I sent and said, hey, guess what? I've tried 5 jury trials. Hey, guess what? I've handled this amount of depositions. Do you know anybody that's looking? And I found myself a job in Chicago.
nice.
And I moved up to Chicago. And at the time, my best friend now is starting to kind of ramp up in the world of brokerage. He moved into the city, finally had a couple shekels. And while that's going on, now I get hired at a private law firm. And I get working there, and I'm having, I think, some fun, and I'm making good money. But at the same time, I'm on the train in the morning, and I'm working 90 to 100 hours a week, and I'm miserable. I like to say it made me bald. But reality is, I was a little tired because I couldn't control what I wanted to control in my life. Now nobody's got control over everything, but I couldn't like.
Couldn't have a weekend.
I didn't have any ability because, when you're an attorney in the world of litigation, you're a problem solver, but no one comes to a lawyer unless they have a problem. And not only that, you're now meeting the demands of the clients. In my case, I was working on behalf of large insurance companies and doctors, people that got sued for medical malpractice. So I'm now having to learn medicine. The leading treatise on medicine in terms of general medicine is called Harrison's on Medicine. If any doctors are watching, you can confirm this. So I used to have my joke. I used to say, no relation in a deposition. But it was funny because I barely knew anything about medicine. I had to like teach myself all that stuff. So the long and short of it is all this is going on. My best friend is ramping up into the world, and he hasn't started trying.
Well, and he's going to the best commercial training grounds.
Yeah.
Marcus and Millichap was trained probably more. You look at all of the major places and who the players are, and they all were Marcus and Millichap at one time.
100%.
So
the blueprint was there.
yeah, so that's a great training to say, wow, here's all the things I'm supposed to do. Here's all the ways I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It gives you all of that perspective right there.
Isn't that the truth?
So what happened though to me, Greg, was I started dating a girl and we moved in together. And now I got a raise. Things are looking good, but I'm not happy. And my best friend for over what did you say, about a year, 2 years? Well, this is going on.
While you're watching him struggle.
Well, yeah, you were there for a couple years, and you're miserable.
Yeah.
I'd see him on the weekend occasionally, but you're stressed. We're putting in those work weeks that are just not sustainable. Getting treated.
There's no
like
way to
that.
live.
These
Yeah.
high up guys just.
Oh yeah.
the
Here's
one guy
5 more
threw-
things.
I think the breaking point was when that guy threw your phone.
Oh yeah,
Or through his
it's like
phone.
10 o'clock and the guy comes in because he's never there. And I'm the guy handling all the files. He says, what happened with this? I had already won the case. He just didn't even know. It was a memo from like 2 months ago. And he broke his iPhone on my desk. And that's when I really had it off. So when that happened, you can only take
The iPhone
so
isn't
much.
it?
It's like the Joker, in Dark Knight. Oh, it takes a little push.
Yeah.
So that was my push, right? So my best friend's like, Harry, why don't you, I can show you. show you another way. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I've spent all this money, my whole life. This is my identity. This is what I want to be. But is this right? So, over the course of about a year at night, I study for the test and I start building a database. Matt kind of gives me the recipe.
Sure.
He says, hey, this is before we had all these cool softwares. Go to the Cook County property tax portal, get the PIN, put it in an act, and then start building out where you would be. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I'm doing this. This is cool. So at like 10 o'clock at night, I'm doing that. I'm dating this girl at the time, and eventually the iPhone incident
And
happened.
you're getting happier because you have a worthy idea,
Yes.
a way
Yes.
out that
Yes.
you can see.
I'm seeing the light.
Yeah, you see a little light and you say,
And-
okay, I'll put up with this now because I can see there's something else.
Exactly. So now the light fully opened for me once I got licensed. I did it on a Saturday, drove down there, passed the test. It was a little easier than the bar exam,
Yeah.
but it worked. And then I got in.
When you could get in right away. When I
nice.
did it so long ago, you had to wait 2-3 months for them to
Right.
mail it to you.
It's
it was
amazing that you could even get your score right away. In the
Huh.
world of the bar exam, you study, you graduate law school, then you get mailed to you about, at the time it's probably all electronic now, you got mailed books. And now you spend the whole summer studying, and then you go take the test. And when I took the test, it was right when this special software came out, so you could type it's 2 days. One's a full essay, 8 hours. The other's in one is all these multiple choice. This company, side note, this company came out, released the security that they could upload the test right there. But little did they know there was a glitch in the system. And they lost some people's essays over the course of this. So they got sued in a massive class action lawsuit. You really don't want to screw around with some young lawyers that got a lot of time on their hands.
No, exactly.
It was not the right company to be in business with. It's like showing up as a florist and not having roses on Valentine's Day. Yeah, one job. You know, so it's
It's better
amazing.
minimum, save the darn essay.
Yeah.
You know?
So, long story short, I pass. The iPhone incident happens. And then I literally decide, I said, Matt, I'm in. Now, Matt did me real solid. He said, Harry, if you're changing everything, I'm going to set you up. He owned a building over here, right by our office. He says, I'll get you set up. You move in to my garden apartment, pay me, and if God forbid something happens, I'll help you. Now, I'm not young, but I'm like not old, but I don't want to rely on my friend. So I'm like,
Nice
"Oh,
offer."
Damn right, it's an amazing offer. So I literally go home and I tell the girl I was dating, I said, hey, I've enjoyed everything, but I'm not happy. We're done. And the same day, before I came home, I went into my boss's office and I said,
I'm not happy.
I'm not happy. And we're done. And it was calculated and it took a long time for me to get to that
It's not easy to do.
So then I burned everything and literally moved into a garden apartment from a nice townhome I was living in, making good money plus full benefits to make $0. At least I thought. But I had my database, at least in some light. And I was working with my best
We
friend.
lined it up where he had the whole database, he had his license. On day one, he came in and he started calling. He had his call list set up. So it
He
was
was
about
confidence too. He had
Yeah,
confidence.
I mean,
He's an attorney.
we had
He knew how to
met-
speak.
we had trained. I mean,
Yeah.
he was ready to go, as ready as you can be, you know, to get you as far as a head start. I mean, when I started, you have to build your database
Right.
while you're there. You know, like basically we checked a few of the first initial boxes off the list, kind of had a budget for you. You know, you were ready to rock, and actually you hit your first deal, 1656 Summerdale, within 2 months, I think it was,
Roland Clemente.
Yeah.
Still got the
And,
contract.
and you made some money.
How big
and-
was it?
It was a side
6'5".
center entrance 6.
Beautiful.
I made probably about 30 grand on the deal. Made me feel confident that I
Right.
could do this. And then I found another deal, and it kind of just snowballed, right?
No, I know.
And we ended up selling that building twice.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll sell it again.
Oh, you'd be
You never
surprised. You could. I remember I had a 6 flat in Old Town. I got
know. Yeah.
these people were hoarders. You had to walk through everything like this. Sold it. They called me back, even though they had a different agent. They wanted me to sell it again. Sold to my clients. Then he wanted me to sell it. I sold it again.
Wow.
And each time it was like $350
Nice.
more, or $1,000 more. I'm like,
The
that's
trifecta.
the way it's supposed to be.
that's
It's exciting when
right.
that happens. Well, when people really show that, you know, you're going overboard for them and you're being loyal as possible, when they show that back to you, I mean, it gives me goosebumps every
Yeah.
time, you know. It's just like hearing him, just knowing when you have that worthy ideal, even if you're going to be in the garden, you know it's temporary, it's not going to be forever, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like in our world, people do things for two reasons. They want to do it or they have to do it. And a lot of people don't want to do things because sometimes it sucks. Like a lot of the stuff you deal with is broken. You know, it can be tough. But if you want to do it, you can make it happen. And if you have to do it, you can as well.
You know, too, you guys obviously are very goal oriented, and you're visionaries, so you can see into the future what you really want to do. And once you start hitting on some of these bigger transactions, well, that's the kind of money that you have to put into something. So it's motivating you and it's driving you, and you're doing it at such a young age. So I think too that you have a lot of people that look up to you. I'm sure that the people you went to high school with and college with and worked in the law profession, they look up to you as well. You're an advisor, you're a facilitator. This is someone I trust. I know that he's honest. He's not just going to lie to me or just, and I think that's what's happened for you both, that, you're coming from a sincere place, you've got a worthy ideal, you're crazy goal orientated. And when you have that burning desire, it almost forces you to do it. Otherwise you feel terrible. Like,
you're right, Greg.
I can't end this week. I didn't make my calls. I didn't make the contact, the connection with someone.
I think like we have our general high level thoughts of where we want to be in the future, but it really always goes back to the shooting your free throws, man.
Yeah,
You gotta shoot
basics.
your free throws.
Well, I was at a Wintrust puts on this event every year for the NCAA's, and so I go every year, and I know a lot of people from there, and I see a lot of different, mostly commercial agents, and so you run into the normal commercial guys, and they're kind of very serious and kind of quiet and stuff. But you run into these two guys, and it's a party, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and the conversation really builds. And that's one of the reasons I really want to have them out here. Do you want to now kind of switch to Triton?
Yeah.
And let's talk about, like, I think it's 16 people right now.
Yeah, we have, I hold a lot of licenses for people that are, kind of
That's
out,
good.
just as a friend, kind of,
Hey,
they're
if you get one referral a year from them.
Yeah, no, and then I'll get a random, closing statement with a check, and oh yeah, I closed a small deal or whatever. But we have 8 full time, we're like doing this as their main business.
Okay.
So we're not huge, but I think our goal when I started Triton basically was to, first of all, create an atmosphere, like you said, is like with no drama. I don't like drama. I like when everyone gets along. I like camaraderie. At Marcus and Millichat, people, and nothing bad about Marcus. Marcus gave me my start. They taught me a lot. I have only good things to say in terms of like what they've done for me. But there's like people lock the doors to their office.
I always said it like this. I think the Marcus and Millichat people eat their young because they never want to cooperate. They get offended if you ask them that question. They were never taught that really the other agent, if you have another agent involved, it's usually better.
It is, yeah.
Because they're handling their client, you're handling yours, and the seller is paying the commission, or it's getting worked into the deal either way. But it seemed to me that oftentimes they wouldn't even want you in the deal, even if your buyer was paying. And I never understood that.
Right.
So you guys have the attitude like I have, like cooperative, like the residential guys, kind of like, well, let's work together.
Well, I mean, it's collaboration, right? If you've got the mindset of being authentic and trying your best to get the best result for your client, we can never tell our client what to do. What we do is we provide advice based on our knowledge and experience and data. And when we provide that advice, always the ball's in their court to determine what's best. But with that being said, if I was representing a seller, what kind of agent would I be if I didn't open it up to a broader market that allowed other people that might know some buyers that I don't know? Maybe they could pay that price.
Well, also,
it doesn't make
I think
much
the
sense.
marketplace is the final decision maker on
You
the
got
price.
it. You got it,
on
Greg.
all of it.
buyer, seller, broker doesn't. The buyer, the market determines the price.
Always.
So what finally happened to me on this whole thing of me being mad at the Marcus and Millichat guys?
Yeah.
I realized, quit asking any broker who's paying what.
Yeah.
Sell the property, and when you do it right, you're gonna get compensated because you're gonna write it on the LOI, you're gonna write it on
got
the
it.
contract,
You got
and you're probably gonna get more than you
Yeah.
would if you tried to
Yeah.
ask what they would
Yeah.
give you.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're all doing is we're growing together. We're trying to experience these things. So why don't you give us like a little excitement of some of these sales you got? I know you did some assemblages recently that really.
Yeah, I mean, we're, in my mind, like, typically we like to try and stay 6 units and above. That's kind of occasionally we get a smaller deal, and some of the newer guys will sell 4 flats and 3 flats and whatnot. But
Right.
we like to try and stay at least 6. I sold a lot of 6, 8, 10, 12 flats. Those are not massive deals, but the way I look at it is they pay the bills, they provide a good living, and then if you sprinkle in some big ones in there.
No. You take the 12 flat buyer, and in 5 years you trade him into that corner
Yeah, the courtyard. Yeah,
building,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's got the funds.
Yeah.
That's the way
It's true. It's true. You're leveling up and are using, the ability through lending a lot of times to get you the leverage to buy bigger and bigger over time.
But Harry and I sold a pretty big portfolio this year. That was 150 some odd units.
So how'd you get the seller?
157 units.
Yeah.
How did the seller get you?
So I had been calling that owner, basically
Business development call.
since the beginning of my career,
Okay, good.
and
So
never done it.
about
He had never sold
16 years?
anything.
Right, but
Yeah.
so you built a relationship. He trusted you. He took your calls because you've been patient.
Took my calls. We've been trying to sell at a crazy number for many years, and slowly kind of creeped down to a level where it met the market. And that relationship basically got me, a rent roll and expenses within like that day. He dropped it off at the office. So
Wow.
just
No, man.
No,
remember
by him-
we drove to Starbucks. We met
well, that was when I first.
Oh, the initial
the
rental.
initial meeting.
Yes.
But over the years, I'd check in. He knew who I was, and I said, "Hey, I heard you'll take this price now." He said, "I would take that price." I'm like, "Can you send me some updated information?" He dropped it off at the office.
Yep.
So I think you never know when you first make calls in the business, and for young brokers, I think this is a good thing to think about. Is you might make that first call, and you might not make money on that for 10 years, 12 years. You might make a call and they're like, "I'm ready now." I mean, you just don't really know.
I feel like there's a big bank, and every call, especially if you're calling with a good attitude,
Mhm.
the right inflection in your voice, a smile on your face, patience, empathy, you're trying to listen. You're putting that in there. You're putting that in there. You're putting that in there. So like, I just had a situation where a buddy of mine called me and said, "Hey, you got someone who's got a cash for a beat up nice brick 3 flat in Lincoln Park?" I go, "Of course, I got 3 guys." And so I call a gentleman, and boom, I got the sale within 10 minutes. And I thought, well,
Nice.
that guy and I have been going back and forth. I mean, we did deals maybe 15, 20 years ago.
Sure.
But nothing since then. And I've given him leases, this, that.
Yep,
But
yep.
you know what?
He thought of you.
He thought of me, and I was ready.
Yep.
And we're always building to that crescendo, hopefully.
Yep.
So with this assemblage then, did you have a particular buyer in mind, or did you kind of go out to a few different ones?
We did have a particular buyer in mind, and we knew he would pay the price that the seller was asking.
And he could qualify.
And he, he ended up qualifying. This was a large deal for him.
Oh yeah.
Biggest of his career as well. So it was not an easy deal, to say the least.
Did you have a lot of work that needed to be done on these?
Yeah, it's a value add play. Operationally, it was running, but needed vintage, needed some love. So Harry and I navigated that deal for several months, and eventually we did get it done. But like some deals are easier than others. I mean,
Funny
it's
side
just-
story on the deal. We're on vacation. It was Matt's wife's birthday, big birthday. So we're on the beach, and I'm in the midst of a call with the buyer's lawyer, lender, 2 other parties, one of which is cutting part of the equity check, and everybody's hanging out. So I step away, And the call keeps going on, and I'm fine. I'm just, and then all of a sudden, I finish the call, and I go back, and everybody's gone, and I'm shirtless on the beach. And my wife, actually, she took my things, which was nice, but she also took the hotel key card.
Oh, great.
So now, I don't even know, I think she took, I had my sandals, but I've got swim trunks on, and I'm shirtless, and I got one phone. So then I walked back, I had to hop a fence to get into the thing, and then Matt's brother-in-law in the lobby is like, oh, I just saw Harry shirtless in the lobby down there. And then my wife was like, oh, what things? Your phone? You didn't get those? So she messed with me, and I was just off over. Oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, oh, they're right here in my purse. She got me.
But did you get to a verbal agreement on that?
Oh, you know what? Every like the way I would describe it, Greg, is there's no easy deal, right?
You know what I think it is? I think it's an onion.
Got to peel it.
You got to stay peeling it, and the first skins are the skins, and then you get to the bigger stuff.
You know, and I think it comes to one, like you said, putting the money in the bank, right, over time with value to make sure you're somebody they think of when the time's right. Because a lot of service professionals, they're already somebody that has a need. In our world, there are assets that have been held for a family for almost 100 years. We sold a building down the street from here. The gentleman's great-grandfather had actually built it, right? 100 years he had held that property.
Wow.
So if you think about it,
I love that
our
concept.
deals, they don't transact on a volume basis, but it's how do you differentiate yourself over time to when there is a need, we're the ones they think of. And it's timing, it's persistence, and it's also authenticity. You know, when you talk to us, even if it's at the Wintrust event or if we're negotiating a $20 million deal, we're still the same people.
Right.
So we don't put on any facade of what I like to call bullshit.
And that's one of the reasons I really wanted to be here, because I feel like this show is trying to be very authentic.
It is.
You know, my
It is authentic.
father would interview my friends to the point where some of my friends would actually be crying. And I would say to him, what's wrong? Your dad asked me more questions than he cares about me more than anybody else in my whole life.
That's
We
awesome.
just had such a curiosity
That's
about
awesome.
things, and I just wanted to know more. And so I feel like watching him pass away so young made me realize that you don't have the time that we think we do to share. So all of us that know we're like kind, that we have higher energy and we're trying to do the right thing, have to join together.
Yeah.
Have to help one each other.
100%.
And we have to learn to make everybody else laugh a little bit, because everybody's gotten so stiff and so serious
Oh, yeah.
and so tight. It's
I
like,
know.
This
I know.
COVID thing really took
did.
hurts a lot of people,
I
I
think
think.
you can't be afraid to be you, right? And that's within reason. You know, you got to be you in certain settings depending on the audience, but at the same time, you can't be fake.
No.
You know? Gotta
Right.
Be yourself.
People can tell. People can tell.
Yeah, the bullshit radar, man.
So, gentlemen, is there something else that we want to talk about Triton, that you can get across?
Yeah, I think what we've been able to do is obviously build a brand that's based on the authenticity, just like you saw when you connected with us, Greg. But deeper than that, I think for how we find opportunities and how we service clients, I think of it like Coca-Cola. We're a little smaller company. But you know, Coca-Cola always makes different flavors because people have different tastes. They make Dasani.
No, wait a second though. Didn't they become so great because they had cocaine in the?
Well,
Hey!
that's possible.
That might be the.
I think that was 100 years
Come to the real estate company that literally is like fuel for the real estate industry.
That's where they got the name, Coke. Yeah. But no, the point I was saying is like Sprite, Dasani, all that stuff. We try to touch clients' taste in different ways. So somebody might be more responsive to be a phone person, which we're capable of doing. Somebody's more of an email person. Someone might have never talked to us, and then all of a sudden they get a piece of marketing material that we sent to them, and they're like, wow, these guys are very active. So we try to really cover our market in a variety of ways and offer a few different ways to effectuate a sale that sometimes are more traditional and other times a little more creative.
Do you have a marketing department?
We do. It's right here.
Okay. So you guys are creative, you're kind of graphic designer-esque. I mean, you're young enough to probably have grown up with computers and...
Well, I'm young enough to where I remember the 56K modem going off on that, and my mom was making a call, and I was trying to download, I don't know, Stairway to Heaven or something like
Right.
that, you know, and that took a full day. So I was hoping it might download by the time I get home.
Well,
you never know.
When I first got into real estate, they'd pass around the books. And we'd look in the books.
That's cool.
Or you'd have that...
How about at the end? How about the Tribune?
Yeah, the Tribune was a mainstay.
Oh yeah.
And everybody, it was like this thing that we have to put the picture ad in for the seller.
Yeah.
I love the picture ad. It doesn't sell anything. There's a million pictures, but you gotta say, here's the 3 places there's a picture of it.
Think about this though, Greg. Think about it. Like all the ways you used to transact, right? It made the profession so much more valuable because you had to use the materials that were only licensed or sourced in print, right? Through the use of technology, one of the benefits is it allows a smaller company to fight like we're in the major leagues.
Right.
Because there isn't one piece of technology that we don't pay for that those other companies have.
Right.
How do you use it though? Because technology is awesome, but if you don't know how to use it,
Well,
you could just keep it in your computer.
Think of it in the old days, how much more time consuming it was. There was no DocuSign.
Right.
So,
You go driving.
well, no, here's the way it was. I would call and say, hey, I've got an offer on your place. When are we presenting?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have 3 offers. It'll be this time. And so you'd go there and you'd show up.
Wow.
And then you could really use your salesmanship to try to get people to really like you and like your client and explain to you. So there were a few times where I won when I was way lower.
Nice.
I had one time where one of the brokers came across the table and grabbed me by the throat like he's gonna kill me. It was like much more touchy feeling. Oh yeah. And
I liked it.
and the deals were lower though. Like the deals were like it was you could get a 3 flat back then for 150,000.
Sure.
You know, 180,000.
I mean, when we were starting Fritz Downser, you could buy a building in Logan
Man,
for what, on
I
a per
mean-
door basis, 40?
Yeah, there was
nuts.
there wasn't anything even transacting. I mean, my first year, I think in my submarket, which was Logan up through Albany Park, I think there was 8 transactions, 5 units and up.
Wow.
8
Total.
So I just had an idea.
What do you get?
We're gonna come back to these two, and we're gonna do a show that's gonna give brass tacks real estate stuff.
Oh.
We're gonna talk about cap rates. We're gonna talk about gross rent multipliers. We're gonna talk about value add on buildings.
Cash on cash?
Cash
you get
on
crazy?
Cash on cash
Uh-huh.
return. We're gonna talk about what the main pitfalls are when you're looking at a building. So like if I'm looking at a brick building and it's bigger, I think right away, oh God, that roof's gotta be expensive. Oh, what's the parapet wall look like? Oh, what do the lintels look like? What do the windows look like? Where's the heating system? Okay, what's the foundation like? Blah, blah. So let's get deeper into all this stuff.
This could be for our management company, Harbor.
Yeah.
Harbor Property
Well,
Management.
we
We could like take that.
I like
how we
the
underwrite
idea.
deals, what we look at.
Well, I
things
mean,
of that nature.
I
Right,
think
like
that it'd be
that's
very informative for the public.
I would love to do it. I thought initially you were going to say we're going to do it before and after. I was like, how can they remake this face?
Okay, so that's something
As they say, he has a face for radio.
So they've got their
Don't do that.
They've got their Triton t-shirts on, but when it's time to do our stats, we're gonna get these guys in suits and everything. I'll
get
even wear a
fancy.
tie and we'll get you looking like a lawyer again.
Well, I have got plenty of suits.
I
still in the
bet
closet.
you do. I bet
I
you
have
do.
a custom one I bought that was a really good one, but no more.
Okay, everyone, we don't want to make this so long that no one listens to it. This is Greg Viti from Triton Realty signing off. Thank you so much for listening to Real Estate Legends, and hopefully you got a nice new insight to Triton and Harry and Matt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Greg.